Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. So we've been discussing the rules of Sharia. Then we move to the objectives of the Sharia. That was our last class. So now we are going to talk about the al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyyah, which we call legal maxims. And this is the last section of the introductory course for this semester. So what exactly means al-Qawa'id? Al-Qa'ida is actually the singular, then you have the plural of al-Qawa'id. It's basically it's a theory that all these years, the work of the scholars, the experts, the way that they understood the fiqh and usul al-fiqh based on their discussion and their and their debates and everything, and that so far so many years based on that kind of discipline in that study, then they came up with the al-Qawa'id, which we call in English maxims. Basically this maxims is actually a kind of a general legal rule. So now once you have this formula, you can actually apply this formula into anything. So whenever you have issues in understanding, whenever you need to find answers whether this is the right thing to do or this is the wrong thing to do, so you of course you always go back to Quran and Sunnah to find the evidences to support your argument, right? If you don't find it in Quran and Sunnah, then you will start moving into ijma', then you do qiyas, and then you do istihsan, right? This is what we've been discussing in the primary and the secondary of the sources of usul al-fiqh. So now this is what they are giving you, an formula that you actually can keep it and understand it, and then whatever comes, if you can apply this formula, these general legal rule, if it can be applied, then actually straight away you can get the answers. So that is what actually we call it legal maxims. We also have economic theories that our conventional economists, they talk about it, right? This is something similar to that what they have done, but this is actually more into finding the answers. That's why they call it the jurists have defined as a legal maxim as a general legal rule which applies to all its particulars. So this is actually the law, the legal legal law that they because in every field, in every discipline, there are some sort of the formula that they always keep it, and you cannot become the expert without understanding those things, whether you are a scientist, whether you are a physicist, or you are a biologist. So there is always a common law to understand, right? So without it, actually it will be very difficult for you to find the answers. Otherwise you need to go back to the beginning and then start digging everything, start looking everything. But this is actually nicely done. This is all actually the fuqaha, the experts are the one who actually come up with it, but at the same time it is based on Quran and Sunnah. So you will be looking so many maxims is exactly how it was mentioned in Quran and Hadith. But the fuqaha, they were able to identify those. They were able to identify those hadith or Quranic verses, and then they convert into maxims, right? For example, the first one is like matters are determined according to the intention. This is basically in a hadith, innamal a'malu binniyat. So now there are several hadiths like this, but they are able to find a pretty much they found this hadith is actually suitable to become maxim. That's because of the characteristic of this hadith. The same thing goes to whether you hardship begets facility, liability justifying gain. This is all actually part of hadith that we are actually talking. But this, of course, where else we will get all these details and information? It's only because of it is only from Quran and Sunnah, right? So some of them is, of course, directly goes there and then and then right now you see only the 9 legal maxims. It doesn't mean that we have only 9. We have above 99 legal maxims. That's why to study legal maxims, there are separate semesters has been dedicated for this study, only to study 99 legal maxims. So we have like classes like Usul al-Fiqh 1 and then Usul al-Fiqh 2, and also we have dedicated specialization courses in the faculty of law and also in the faculty of jurisprudence. So here we have a very short time, so we just want to cover only 9 legal maxims. All right, so let us go one by one. The first one, it is actually matters are determined according to intention. This is based on the hadith, innamal a'malu binniyat wa innama li'imri'in ma nawa wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa. The hadith clearly says that deeds are judged by intention. All your actions depending on your intention, and every person is judged according to his intention. Sometimes, when you do, when the actions say something, but you need to take the intention. What was the intention behind it? It might look different when you look at someone doing, but the thing that the intention is very important. That's the reason why the niyyah for everything that is important. Every time you sit down and you start reading something, you start doing something, you have to have a very good intention. You need to, for example, you are sitting in this classroom and then you are there, you need to think that, okay, this is something that might help me for hereafter, so I'm thinking good about this class. Any other classes, anything that is helping you, whether to graduate, whether to get some training, all right, anything, you have to always revive your intention. And that's why innamal a'malu binniyat, right? So now the a'mal is actually not only that we are talking here about the ibadah, it is all the activities. When it comes to Prophet, when he said the hadith, we all know about the first part of the hadith. What about the second part of the hadith? Most of us, we don't remember the second part of the hadith. The hadith continues like this: innamal a'malu binniyat wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa. Then it continues, faman kanat hijratuhu ila Allahi wa rasulihi fa hijratuhu ila Allahi wa rasulihi wa man kanat hijratuhu ila dunya yusibuha aw imra'atin yatazawwajuha fa hijratuhu ila ma hajara ilayhi. So Prophet is here talking about the hijrah. The hijrah that was available, was existing before the victory of Makkah. They call it Fatah Makkah. In Hijri 10, there was a victory of Hijri 9 and 10, there was a victory of Makkah. And then before that, whoever wants to do hijrah, wants to travel, leave everything behind, leave the family, leave the properties, everything, the business, the agriculture, everything for the sake of Allah and Rasul. Because the place that they were living, they were not able to practice Islam, so they wanted to travel to Medina. That's how Medina became multiracial, multi-language center, because all over the world people wanted to come to Medina. But this hijrah was existing only before the Fatah, before the victory of Makkah. So Prophet ﷺ were saying that this hijrah that you are doing, if your intention is actually for Allah and Rasul, then of course you will get the reward for Allah and Rasul, right? But if your intention is different, then whatever the intention you come, you get it. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not stop anybody to travel for the different intention. That's the point here we need to understand. Of course, he wanted to make sure that everyone do the right thing. When you are doing, even though you will get some benefits when you go to Medina. Of course, when you go to Medina, you will get some material benefits, worldly benefits. Still, if you think that that's not important, the most important thing is I go to Medina, I learn Islam, and I practice Islam. If you have that intention, you will get your hijrah, your precious reward for hijrah. If you don't have that intention, you want to come to Medina to do some business, to do some agriculture, or you want to come to Medina to marry someone in Medina, Prophet ﷺ said it's okay to come. It's all right to come. You can come here, you can do business, you can come here, you can marry someone from here, and then you can of course get benefit of Islam, you can of course learn Islam, and of course you can practice as a Muslim. It's not a problem at all. The only problem is you are not going to get the reward for that particular hijrah, right? So this is how we need to understand the complete hadith. So for example, this apply to every one of us. Let's say I'm teaching here, let's say you are learning here. So whether I want to revive my when I start my study, what should I do? I revive my intention, whether it is I do it for the sake of Allah and Rasul, or I just do this so that I can get a good CGPA, and then I will graduate from here, and then I will work. It's all right. You travel all the way from your kampung and then you want to do this. Of course, you can have your own purposes. There's not nothing wrong. You want to have a good CGPA, you want to graduate from here, and there's nothing wrong. Along the way, you will also learn Islam. You will also practice something. This is always good. But according to hadith, if you actually can revive your intention, and then you from the beginning you think that okay, I do whatever that I do, I travel from this place to this place, I come and I join to this university, this is for the sake of Allah and Rasul. So now if you have that intention for the sake of Rasul, Allah and Rasul, then all your years that you are spending in study, you are going to get a special reward for that. It is not only about this. If you travel to some other places, if you do some other work, you have to make that. That's the reason why it was told by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, matters are determined according to intention. And this is the first hadith that Imam Bukhari he compiled in his Sahih. This is the
So,
first hadith when you open innamal a'malu binniyat. Yeah. So that's how we need to understand. The purpose of intention is actually what it distinguishes between habitual actions and actions of worship. It distinguishes between action of worship from one another. It distinguishes the purpose of the action for the sake of Allah only or not. All right.
so,
Yes. Yes. Please. Yeah. Go ahead.
oh, so sorry to cut you off. May I ask, so regarding matters are determined according to intention. Can I say that if today I going to do something, but my intention is to improve myself, like to get like I want to study well and get a good job and get a high pay job. So regarding this situation, actually my intention is not like it's not related with the worship, right? So the reward I will get is the high pay job in and the money, but it is not related like the purpose of intention regarding here.
You see, here we are talking about the halal purpose, of course. We are not talking about the haram, the prohibited purpose. Yeah. So now, for example, you think that okay, I want to get the highest paid job. I want to graduate and do this. These are the halal purpose. There is nothing wrong. These are the halal purpose. Definitely you can have that intention, and definitely you can do for that purpose, and then you can get what you want. So for definitely there is nothing wrong in having that kind of purposes. The only problem is the entire journey of yours spending your time like 4 years or 6 years or 10 years for something, the entire journey, you won't have that special reward for the niyyah. That is the only thing that will be missing. That's the reason why every single thing, for example, I sleep at night. Yeah. Let's say I'm very tired. I just want to sleep. I want to be healthy. So everyone will have this purpose. Everybody will have this niyyah. Everybody will have this intention when they go to sleep. The reason I want to sleep, I want to become healthy. The next morning I can run. The next morning I can do jogging. I can do, all sort of things. So I just want to sleep and have a good health. This is halal purpose. There is nothing wrong. There is no anything that you are doing wrong. There is no haram in it, right? This is all very good. But what if I think like this? I want to sleep, but my clear intention is I want to sleep now so that I can wake up for subuh prayer tomorrow. I want to pray in the morning. 5:30, 6:30. I have to pray. I have to do some tahajjud. This is my intention. That's the reason why I'm sleeping. Your intention must be honest. Your intention must be the right thing. You only know whether your intention is right or wrong. I mean, whether your intention is honest or not honest. So now, if I have that intention, I'm sleeping. My intention is just to wake up in the morning so that I can pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now what happens that even though you pray, you will pray, of course. After the prayer, you will, of course, you go the jogging, you will do everything else. Like you will go for the work or you will go for the study, like everybody. But the first thing that you think that I want to wake up and then I want to pray. For this, the entire sleeping, let's say 7 hours or 8 hours, it will be rewarded. This is what actually the special reward that you are going to get. The entire sleep. The entire sleep. The sleeping. No one is actually going to reward you for your sleeping. But Allah will give you reward for every second that you are even sleeping. You are not even praying. You are even reciting Quran. You are not doing ibadah, but you are just sleeping. You are just sleeping, which is actually a natural way of human being. Is actually every natural human being will sleep, but that particular sleep will be rewarded because of the intention. So the same way that actually you can apply into everything. Why I do this? Why I do that? You can actually refresh your memory. You can even refresh your intention. That was actually the purpose of the hadith.
So,
Right now, yeah.
So, in conclusion, can I say that regarding the question that I asked just now, like I want to get a high pay job, but however, the reason I want to get a high pay job is I want to use my money to to do the worship. So, in this case, can I say that my intention is actually related to Allah? Because I want
There
to
is
be
one thing, Lok, there is one thing is saying, the other thing is intending. There is the niyyah is actually not about saying, it's about intending. Are you purely honestly think that I will earn big money and then I will use that for the worship? This is between you and Allah, between you and God, because there are so many people who don't have money at all, doesn't have a single money, but still they do worshipping, right? So this is depending on you. So I am not here to judge anybody. No one can judge anyone. You only can judge yourself. Whether you want to do that highest paid job, so that you want to do certain things, is that your intention? And only God knows. Because no one can open your heart and see how honest you are with your God. Only you knows, right?
The most important thing is your own intention.
Exactly.
Is it good or related to the halal? Halal is related to the Allah.
Allah, yes, correct. Exactly.
Okay, I understand.
Exactly. That's how you have to be pure and honest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is a creator. You have to be very much honest to your creator. He knows everything. He created you. He knows everything, what you are doing, what you are thinking. Every single movement that you make, he knows before you do. So that's what our relationship between me and my creator, right? That's the thing. So now here you can see some examples I give you. For example, the slaughtering animal, right? You know that this is what we call zibh. For example, usually for every weekly basis, people are slaughtering animals. Of course, they do. When they slaughter animal, they say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. But there is a different purposes. There is a consumption purposes. There is also sacrificial purposes during Hajj and Eid al-Adha. You know, there is a festival that we celebrate, Eid al-Adha. So this using during that period, we also slaughter animals in the name of Allah. Of course, we don't actually slaughter animal and then we leave it, and then we give it to we give everything to others. We also eat, we also consume. But the purpose of slaughtering that animal for that purpose day, that particular day was actually for the purpose of sacrificing. So that has a different purpose. The same thing goes to transaction. When you have a, for example, when you lease something to someone, right? It is called ijara, which is actually rental. But when someone is borrowing from you, the same actions are happening, but it is not rental. Let's say someone borrow your car, you are not going to charge the rental for it because the intention is borrowing. But when someone is actually doing the same kind of action, like taking the car from you, but in the name of rental, then he has to pay the rental to you. The same action, but comes with different intention. All right. This is the example for ijara and i'ara. Borrowing means i'ara. Rental means ijara. Yeah. So this is where the legal maxim will come. Al-ibratu fil uqud lil maqasid wal ma'ani la lil alfazi wal mabani, which means in contract, effect is given to intention and meaning and not words and forms. Okay, let's move to the second one. Certainty cannot be removed by doubt. So this is something that, you know, like last time we talked about al-istishab, if you remember. Al-istishab, meaning to say status quo. You keep the status quo. We don't actually here to judge unless it is proven. So now if a borrower claims that he has settled the debt and the lender says he has not, the principle is the borrower has not. Because here is actually, if the borrower has already settled, he has to have like, for example, you know, a kind of proof, or maybe a clip, or maybe a video or something, or maybe a sakshi, maybe some witness to have. But the thing that when it is clear that, you know, someone gave you the money, there is a evidence. Someone gave you the money, there is an evidence. But you have already returned the money, there is no evidence. Definitely, legally speaking, you know, the borrower has to produce the evidence. But if the one who gave you the money still wants to complain against you, he can go and he complain against you. Definitely, according to the law, certainty cannot be removed by doubt unless the doubt, you know, is actually proven. So this is how what we call a statement supported by evidence or witness is considered sustained. Claims cannot refute a statement which is supported by evidence. Then we have a sub maxims. You know, sometimes you have the big one and then you have the sub maxims. Al-aslu al-adamu fi sifat al-arida, which means that the new attributes, condition and claims are presumed to be non-existent and absent unless they are proven otherwise. According to this principle, if a dispute is about the presence of new states or conditions, the principle is that they do not exist. For example, if the disagreement is about whether the defect in a certain commodity has occurred before or after the sale, and the seller denies the commodity was defective, his statement is accepted. So here is, you have some example. You went to the market and you bought the phone. All right, and then you bought the phone. You said, okay, you are buying it. The seller sold to you, and then you bought it, and then you came home, and then again you go back and then said he actually gave me the wrong one. I mean, he gave me the defective one. So now basically speaking, now is actually we have some other options, what we call warranty or guarantee. These are the things are there, which is very good. But here we talk about, we don't talk about warranty or guarantee. Let's say there is no warranty, let's say there is no guarantee at all, right? So when you are buying something, when you are paying the money to someone, you need to make sure the product that you are buying is actually working. Okay, because now the seller has sold to you, and then the seller has the receipt, and you also have the receipt that you actually bought something from the seller. And then here the certainty is what? The certainty is there was a transaction. That is certainty, because there's nothing changed, because you have already bought something and he actually sold to you. This is certain. The reason you bought it, because the product was good. That's how people will understand. That's how the legal terms will understand. You bought it because the product was good. But later you come up and then say it's defective, then you need to prove. You need to have the evidence. You need to say that, okay, this was the time I bought it. This is the CCTV camera, and he gave me this product, particularly this product. This product is not working. I bought the wrong one. He cheated me, this and that. You need to bring some evidence. Unless you go for some other options. For example, I'm ready to buy from you, but I need your warranty or guarantee or trial period. If you give me that, then only I will buy. This is the different scenario. All right. So here we are just talking about you buy something without any warranty and guarantee. All right. Okay, that's the thing. Then we have number 3, the principle in transaction is basically permissibility. Everything you need to know that this is the common rule that everything is halal. Remember this. Everything is halal. It's not like other way, everything is haram. No, everything is halal except what Allah and Rasul said is haram. See, all the drinks are halal, all the meats are halal, except what Allah said, the thing that giving you intoxication is haram. The meat that actually sacrificed without the Allah's name, slaughtered without the Allah's name, it is haram. You cannot eat some meat that they slaughter without Allah's name. And then whatever the meat that Allah said you cannot eat, for example, pork. Other than that, the common rule is everything is halal. This is not the other way around. Everything is haram and only whatever Allah said is halal. All the drinks are haram. All the drinks are haram except water. Not like that. Okay. So according to the legal maxim, all foods and transactions are allowed unless they are prohibited or have prohibited elements. This is because the Quran and Sunnah have only mentioned the prohibited food and are mainly focused on prohibited transactions. The jurists have concluded from this that foods and transactions which are not included or prohibited list are permissible. The similar thing goes to transactions, because we talked about the food and we talked about the drinks. What about the transaction? Every single transaction, every single muamala, every single dealings and tradings, all halal, except whatever Allah said is haram. Allah said riba is haram and business is halal. So now Allah said gharar is haram, honesty is halal. So now meaning to say whatever Allah said gharar is haram, riba is haram. If you don't have that element of usuri, the element of interest, the element of ambiguity, the element of uncertainty in some transactions, only those transactions are not allowed. The remaining everything is allowed. That is the beauty of Islam. That's the reason why today we are doing all sort of even latest and modern transactions, like online transaction, the digital transaction. Even tomorrow we might go for cryptocurrency transactions, and all everything is actually from this from this legal maxim. Examples: commerce and trade are areas where creativity and innovation could be needed in order to meet the needs of changing time. New forms of transaction could be introduced provided they do not have prohibited elements such as online transaction, sharing economics, all halal. Sharing economics, online transactions, all halal. That's the reason why today we have the Grab, we have this, all these, what they call it, Airbnb. These are the sharing economics concepts are there. That's the reason why we are all allowed to do that. Number 4, the principles. The
Sir,
principle. Yes.
sorry to cut you off. Could you give me more example regarding the principle in transaction?
You mean the interest? This one, yes, the
Yes,
principle.
yes.
Okay.
Like more example.
Okay, for example, you see, because in Sharia, we always want to see, okay, what these are the new scheme. For example, they say this is the new transaction, these are the new market, these are the new way of dealing. Is it halal? All right, the question comes all the time. For Muslims is very important to use the halal things, right? And today you know that there are halal industry everywhere, right? Let's say you go and you want to you go to a village, and then where actually you don't see any Muslim shop, right? Everyone is actually non-Muslims, and then you are staying there for a couple of days and you want to eat something. Here you cannot go and look around, is there any halal shop, is there any halal restaurant? So what you need to do, you actually can eat everything there, but like other people are eating, except those prohibited elements are there. For example, you go to any shop, any non-Muslim shop, for example, they may have a they may have a non-halal things which was prohibited, but at the same time they also have a halal things, which means according to our law, let's say they have rice, they have bread, they have fruits, they have eggs, they have water, normal juices, all those, tea, for example, coffee example, everything is actually halal. That's the reason why you need to know what is actually haram. Then when you are going and ordering something to the shop, and then you have to ask what contains in this product. If they mention, yeah, pork is contained in this product, then you put away. You don't eat that. When you are drinking something, you ask, is that alcohol contaminated? If they say, yeah, there is alcohol inside, then you put away. If you took something and they say, no, there is no alcohol, this is all vegetables or this is all fruits, then you eat. You drink. See, this is how so you can actually practice Islam everywhere you are. You don't have to pretend like, for example, how am I supposed to live in some countries where there is no halal chicken, when there is no halal thing. You don't have to worry all the thing, because there are so many things in the world is actually halal, right? So that's why this principle is very important. The similar thing goes to transactions. Most of the dealings, the innovations in the transaction, the share market and things, everything that coming today, also going to come tomorrow, it's all going to be halal, except those elements. That's why you need to learn what are the elements, the prohibited elements in transactions, which is actually going to be one of our chapter. After this, maybe after a couple of classes, we will be talking about what is the prohibited elements in transactions. I hope you
So,
understand now.
sir, in conclusion, I can say that in this session, which is the principle in transaction, we need to see whether that certain thing
Yes,
is
particularly.
halal or that particular thing is
uh,
halal or no halal.
yeah, so you cannot ask anybody, is it halal or not halal, because the person you are asking, they might not know what is halal, what is haram. So now you
Okay.
have to be particular. Uh, you have to be specific about. You have to ask: is this in this transaction? Do you have the element of interest? You need to look in that way. You cannot ask them, is this transaction halal? They don't know. They might not know. You know, this is actually funny. Sometimes we think that everybody know halal, especially when it comes to food. Especially in my country, this is my country, one of my countries, very funny moment. When I was actually somewhere back in India, and then I wanted to eat something, and then there were many shops, and then when they see us like this, they agree, please come here. They call us Bhai. Bhai means brothers. Brother, come here, eat. You can come and eat here. And then when I said okay, but I didn't see any halal certificate or something here, they said no, we have halal. I said, yeah, is it? I was surprising because he is a non-Muslim. He doesn't know about halal, but surprisingly, he said, no, we have halal. I said, okay, you have halal? Yes. When we cook, we put halal. You know what does it mean?
Yes,
He thought halal means a recipe. He thought halal is a recipe, is a spice or something. He said, of course, he is actually lying. He's not. He just want to take me into his shop and he just want to make money, right? So for him, he doesn't want to lose the customer. So he just creating the story like, yeah, we have halal. We put the halal in our shop in every food. So he thought, because when I said what is do you know what is halal? He said, yeah, I know, we already put it in the food. Meaning, he pretend that he knows halal, but he thinks halal means spices or something, a recipe or something. So this is how the knowledge outside. So you cannot simply go to a place because they say, okay, we serve halal, because sometimes not necessarily that they know the meaning of halal. We need to know halal means not only not only the pork is haram, even the meat that was slaughtered without the name of Allah. Any meat that's slaughtered without the name of Allah is actually also haram for Muslims to eat. So now maybe you might have seen somewhere, like for example, this restaurant is a pork-free restaurant, right? So when you see pork-free restaurant, you might be thinking, oh, it is pork-free, which means it is halal. Not necessarily. Pork-free means there is no pork in their food, which is actually good, but at the same time, they also use alcohol in every food. In every recipe, they use alcohol, they use wine to create their food. And also they don't mind about buying chickens, and they don't mind about buying dead chickens, carry-ons, what we call it, carry-on, because carry-ons is actually haram for Muslim to eat. Any chicken, any meat that died before you slaughter, it is actually haram to eat. So now how do we differentiate between that's the reason why when you are going to a non-Muslim restaurant, and then when they want to tell this is halal, you need to verify. You cannot simply go there because they mentioned the word halal, because their understanding of halal is different from what we understood halal. We have to be very, very careful. I have seen even in Malaysia, I have seen some places, they sell side by side in the same restaurant. They say that we have halal meat. At the same time, they also serve the non-halal meat. Now I know some people, they want to go there because their chicken is very tasty. At the same time, they also cook non-halal meat. I'm not actually blaming them for not cooking non-halal meat, but definitely they have customer to come and they are ready to eat the non-halal meat. But what makes you as a Muslim, what makes you to go to that particular shop? There are hundreds of other shops available to eat halal. Why you have to choose that shop, and then you need to share the same plate and the same, because the halal and non-halal meat comes from the same kitchen, and then they use the same vessels for everything, right? Why? What makes you go to that particular shop to eat something? I have seen it actually in Malaysia. I have seen it some places like, some mall and somewhere. People, I don't know why they go there, and then they say, okay. I have also seen people drinking alcohol, and then the other side they want to drink some water or some juice. They say, because I come to this particular shop, even though they are selling alcohol items, but in this particular shop, the juice is very good. So my question is, why you put yourself at some risk, to sharing where exact, if you don't have, that's what I'm said. You go to a place where there is no halal shop available. Yes, like just now you asked the question, right? Where in your country there is no halal shop, you have to be among the non-Muslims to eat. You have to share from that is fine, because that is actually the necessity. So you go there and they eat the non-halal items and you eat the halal items on the same shop, is fine. But in a country where there are plenty of halal items are available, halal shops are available, why you have to choose that particular shop where actually they combine halal and non-halal products there, and you go there just because the product is very good? So this is my concern. Yeah. So this is what actually I wanted to tell you. Everything is halal, but whatever the Allah and Rasul said is haram. But when we understand, we need to understand what is halal before we point out what is haram. Yeah. So this is number 4. The principle is absence of a liability unless it is proven. This is actually similar to what we learned in number 2. According to this principle, there is no liability unless there is proof for it. Persons are not liable unless proven. It follows from this that a person is not held responsible solely on the basis of claims made against him. The person who has made the claims has to prove them. For example, debt and other contractual claims against a person are not valid unless there are evidences to prove them. This is actually a common law for everybody. All of a sudden someone comes and say that this guy killed my father, this guy killed my daughter, right? Nauzubillah. So now if someone is actually accusing someone, this accusation cannot be cannot be taken unless you have the witness, you have the evidence to say that, okay, this guy killed, this guy did this guy did that. The similar thing goes to debt. If the bank has to if the bank say he took from the bank 100,000 ringgit and he ran away, the bank supposed to show the evidence that he took. Then only the court, the police will help to find that person, then they will get the money from him. So this is how I think this principle is actually everywhere is working. Then number 5, hardship begets facility. This is something very important. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. So
Yes.
I want to ask actually what is the difference between the second certainty cannot be removed by doubt and the principle is absent of liability unless proven.
Okay. Here is actually mostly number 4 into the person, on that particular person, but over the number 2 is actually the thing, the specific, the product, the specific act. So this is about, it looks similar, but here we talk about not the person more, we talk about the product, we talk about the way of doing, we talk about the action. In number 4 we talk about the person. That's why here if you want to accuse some person, that person, if you want to accuse him doing something, if you want to accuse him that he took some loan and he didn't repay, you need to produce the evidence for it. That's all the difference. Yeah. Okay, we have number 5, hardship begets facility. This is something also with regard, this is also may go and relate to number 3. Okay, let's see what it is. Rules of law are general in nature to cover all situations and individuals. However, in certain exceptional situations, a strict adherence to a general rule may lead to injustice and harm. According to this maxim, when a certain situation gets difficult, see that when certain situation gets difficult, the law becomes flexible. Allah wants to lighten your burden for man and has been created weak. You see, there is a law. There's no doubt. Law is above everything. This is what we say, right? Law is above all. Of course, the law is above all. But when it comes to human being, and human being is actually created weak, and human being has so many flaws. Sometimes we broke, sometimes we cannot stand up, sometimes we cannot be active. There are so many problems that when someone may suppress us, someone may make us to do something which we don't want to do. Stricting someone, like duress, for example. Duress mean you make someone to do, let's say gunpoint. You have a gun and then you put the on the forehead and then say you have to do this, this kind of things. So whenever these kind of things are happening to a human being, then the law will become flexible. For example, a contract concluded by a person under duress is not valid, even though someone is actually compelling you, making you that if you have to sell your land to me right now, sell it. If you don't sell it, I will harm you, I will kill you, or I will do something that you don't like. People do all sort of things. So now, legally speaking, it looks like the contract has been concluded, but according to Sharia, it is not, because you were under duress. You can come back and tell to judge, I was doing it because I was under duress and I don't have the intention. Then the judge will listen to it, and then whatever the contract that you did, it will be cancelled. A lunatic is exempted from all obligation and legal duties. Lunatic means someone who lost the sense. Someone is like nonsense. They don't have the sense. So whatever the obligations that he do, it is not considered, because it will harm him. Because you ask a lunatic, can you sell your watch for 2 ringgit? Then he will say okay, because he doesn't understand the value of the watch, or value of the watch or the phone or whatever that he had, because he is a lunatic. So now we cannot take, legally speaking, no one can take advantage of that. That's the reason why at the first place Islam says these people, they are not eligible to do any transactions. They only will do transactions together with the guardian. There must be a guardianship, which we will discuss later about. We will discuss about the guardianship, which we call wilaya. We also will talk about the agency, which we call wakala. Yeah. If a borrower is not able to settle the loan in a lump sum, he would also be permitted to pay by installment. There is a rule that, okay, if you borrow, you have to pay a certain amount. But by the time it comes, you are not able to pay, meaning to say there are so many weaknesses, then he should be allowed to pay, on installment. So these are the things, hardship begets facility. Then this is the next level. Even haram become halal. This is number 6. Necessity renders prohibited things permissible. Look here. We know about this. Haram and halal. Al-halalu bayyinun wal-haramu bayyinun wa baynahuma mushtabahat. Hadith says that halal is very clear, crystal clear, and haram is also crystal clear. Allah said this is haram, this is halal. Everything that is haram, Allah told already. Everything is haram, Prophet told already. But there are some situations, even haram also can become halal for you, only if you justify the situation. Extreme necessities turn unlawful matters to lawful. This is one of the maxim. Necessity, darurat, this is what we call darurat, refers to a situation where a person strives to safeguard his religion, life, property, mind, or offspring. This is what we learned last time in Maqasid. To necessity to protect these things, then the haram will become halal. For example, eating carry on without exceeding an immediate need. For example, he has no food at all to eat. He has to survive. He can eat something died, even though it's not actually, you don't have to sacrifice your life. Understand? You don't have to sacrifice, or you don't have to kill yourself by following halal and haram. If you are in a situation where actually you don't have any other food and you still have to survive, then you will only take that amount of food, even though it is a haram food, you eat because you need to survive, because you have to protect your soul. Remember this. This is what Islam says. Islam doesn't say that, okay, throw away your soul. The halal and haram is important. No, Islam doesn't say that. It's a famanil turra. In Quran clearly says, if you are, you are in a position which is actually extremely necessary, that, then you actually can, even haram can become halal. Taking the property of a bankrupt person without his consent, this is what actually usually the bankrupt persons, his movable, we will talk about it, movable property and immovable property. The bank will start distributing the movable property first, then only they go to immovable. But here, if the necessity is there, because he has to settle to many people, that many people require money from him because he took loan from people and he didn't settle. So now the authority will come and take his property even without his consent and then settle the loan to other people. This is the necessity, forcing a hoarder to sell his property at a lower price. For example, you can have your product, your property is your property. Your items are your items. For example, you have tons and tons of kilo of sugar, and then you are keeping it for business purpose. But suddenly there is a problem, issue. People are running out of sugar, and you only have sugar. You only have sugar. Now the authority can come and ask your sugar. If you are not willing to sell to authority, the authority can make you compulsorily. They can force you to take your property, to take your sugar, but of course they will pay you whatever the price is necessary. All right, because it is for the people must, because this is a necessary item we are talking about. It's not like luxury items. The luxury items is not actually comes under necessity. The necessity items means like, the food items, the drink, the necessity like rice, wheat, and then the sugar, and then the water, these kind of things. Even drinking wine for cure purpose, if it is necessary for you to drink just for that purpose, if it is a medical purpose, not actually for drinking for intoxicating purpose, not for the luxury purpose, it is for the medical purpose, then the amount of alcohol can be added. That's the reason why there are some items that we are using right now, for example, to wash our hands, and that there are some sort of alcohol is already there, which we are not consuming, we are using it externally, which is actually approved, right? So this is what actually we call necessity renders prohibited things permissible. Then we have number seven, yes. Okay, number 7 is actually harm should be eliminated, and then we have number 8, liability justify gain, and then we have number 9. So let me just do this in the next class, yeah, inshallah. So let me open the floor. If you have any questions, inshallah, you can ask me.
Sir,